So good morning. Welcome to the Mauch Tramway. Today I'm going to actually get around to installing the Harp switch stand that we built in the last video. So the first thing I need to do is extend the ties. It's a beautiful morning. It's late July morning here. I hope everybody had a good 4th of July and was a little busy with family visits and work, so I haven't been doing anything on the railroad, but hopefully get back to it. And it's 64 degrees right now, about 9 o'clock in the morning, so that's a good summer day here in the Lehigh Gorge. So we're gonna get started now. First thing I'm gonna do is, as I said in an earlier video, I didn't use long enough ties for the switch stand, so I'm going to swap out the ties and then install the switch stands. So I'm going to mark roughly where the ties are, because I base the spacing of the switch stand the legs of the switch stand I want to fall in proper location. I think it's 3.5 inches between, I have a tape here, between the ties, or maybe 3 inches. So it's designed for 3 inches spacing. And again, it'll get bolted down here, but much further out so it doesn't hit the train. And I guess since you last saw me, I cleaned up the switch stand, painted it, ground out my horrible welds a little bit, painted the target red. And again, that's how it works. Lifts up, down, that sort of thing. Okay. Here we go. There's a few too many screws in here, and that's because when I first built it, I guess thought it would be a good idea to not, I didn't know that I should probably drill through the rail in some critical places. Most places I don't have it drilled through the rail, but a few places it's really important, I think, that you have that security. I'm going to clean out some of the, make it easier on me. I'll go back and fill it in afterwards. All right. Slide that back in. I forget what my spacing is, but roughly 3 inches. I try to keep that the same. And I'm aligning it with my marks as close as I can. And then just put a couple screws back in. Should be pretty, I don't think I need to re-gauge it. I hole gauge pretty good with all the other ties were right next to it. So that's good. And I'll get this one in. Same thing. I'm going to put a screw here, but then I'm going to check because we're pretty far out there. So any kind of little error on these pretty thick pencil lines is going to throw the whole thing off quite a bit by the time you get to the switch stand. So I'm going to just put this screw in and then align it. Get my 3-inch spacing at the back here. Yeah, I was quite off quite a bit. It's about 2.5 inches. So this will keep it. I feel like this one might be off, but I don't think it'll matter a whole lot as long as it moves. The rod has enough flex in it. And all right. All right. Got a few extra screws, like when I work on my trucks. Okay. So now I'm going to bolt the switch stand in. Probably going to have to crank up the torque a little bit, and I'm using GRK brand lag bolts. They're self-drilling, so I don't need to pre-drill. They shouldn't split the ties. I've used them for everything. I use GRK screws for cabinet making, for carpentry, for framing, for everything. You can usually get them at like Home Depot, Lowe's, lumber yards. I get mine at my lumber yard. I've been using them for probably 15 years or more. You know, they use torque spits. But even if you have, there's other brands that have the Torx now. You know, most screws I think do, like deck screws and stuff. They aren't as good as the GRKs. They strip easier. I'm not sure what they make them out of. They're made in Canada, so be prepared to spend quite a bit more money now on them with the tariffs. So let me make sure, I'm gonna just top up, make sure that's in frame. Not exactly, so move it so you can see what I'm doing. I will go back and support underneath it. Crank the, you might need to get an impact driver for these. We'll see. And looks aligned pretty well. Yep, that's what I was worried about. Let me switch it to drill, see if it's got the power. Yep, I'm gonna have to get an impact driver, so I'll be right back. All right, so we have an impact driver, a little more power here. Okay, that one's locked in. I'm gonna get one on the back. stand is secure. I want to check on the inner position here. I think I needed 15 inches to be plenty of clearance for the locomotive, and from the center of the track, and it looks like we're good, which is important, obviously. So let me adjust this a little bit so you can see the whole stand. Zoom out there. There we go. All right. So when it's thrown like that, that's actually the through route. That'll go towards the driveway eventually. But so I'm on the fence about whether I'm going to use the two extreme ends. So if it's the extreme end is out here, the problem is that's going to push it over, which makes sense. That would be that route. And then when I go like this, it'll pull it this way, and that's straight into the engine house, that route. So I didn't know whether I should use the center and the far. So when it's going in the engine house, it's straight up, which is it's actually the straight route through the track. Or just having a complete throw. I think I'm going to go the complete route because my concern would be that if I did it this way, and I'm not sure I'm going to have enough spring to absorb if somebody threw it all the way over. But it actually might work in either position. I'm not sure. So something I didn't think about, and I can always make like plugs, like 3D printed plugs to block maybe. These, or even weld a little tiny piece of steel in there so you can't use the center position. But I thought it would be good to just keep everything universal and have the center position, just in case, you know, someday I might do a three-way switch. I'm not sure. So I think I can leave the rod. This is going to be the extreme position over, but I don't think it matters if the rod, you know, is extra long, other than having to put the bolts on. So I'm going to take this. I got the nut, washer, spring, and the other washer, and then I have the exact reverse operation on there. I'm going to stick it through like that, and then I got to kind of finagle the washer on. You have the washer on. I gotta get the spring on. There we go. Other washer. This stuff's easy. The nut's gonna be a little tricky, probably. Even that washer was a little tricky. If I get the nut started, I can probably just spin the rod. Probably, I'm gonna start dropping it. All right, let's try to get it lined up. There we go. So now I'm just holding it, spinning the rod. You know, I do want spring tension, and I can adjust these as I need. So I'm going to take it all the way in here. I don't think just normal use will loosen them too much, but I could always put some Loctite on, that sort of thing. I'm sorry about the sound. If it's bad, I don't have any kind of lavalier mic or anything like that, so it's not a professional setup if you haven't figured that out already. So I have that on, then I'll spin this up, and we'll see what it does. I basically just have the spring snugged up. So when you press it there, you know, the spring takes up the tension and holds it in, but I can adjust that spring tension as I go. Now, on the other end here, which I managed to, I think, lose the pin from spinning around. I taped the cotter pin to the, whatever that thing's called, the fork on the end. But it's a really small cotter pin. And it looks like I've managed to lose the second one. Not that it's a big deal. So I'm going to put the pin in, and I'll go inside the shop and grab another cotter pin so I can secure this. This is a little tricky. If the ballast was here, under here, it'd be tough getting this in. I'll do the pin on this side facing me to make life easier. All right, so the clevis pin is in. Get one more look to see if I can see that cotter pin. But with the rocks, no luck. All right, I'll be right back. All right, got the cotter pin here. And try to be kind of smart. Use some pliers to drop that into the clevis pin. There we go. And I just have to manage to separate this pin, which looks like maybe a little trickier than I thought. Try holding it with the pliers. I did manage to bend it a little bit. Get in there with my handy multi-tool here. I think there's like a little chisel thing here. Might work. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that thing. You know, and I should put on my glasses for this. All right. So I'm just trying to spread the pin here enough to keep it from falling out on me. And I should have held that. I'm sorry if I'm blocking what's going on here. There we go. Just wiggling around a little bit and spread it apart. And there we go. That's good. All right. Put this in before I never saw it. My multi-tool has measurements on the blade of whatever that tool was. All right, so you can see that in there. And again, how it works is this is an oval hole here, down here at this point. So it lifts up and allows the notch part to move. And look at that. The turnout. So it's not that tight going this way, so I just have to tighten this nut, that's all. Put a little more spring tension on that, and I'll probably just do likewise on this one. All right, so We're in the center position now. No. So that actually has too much. There's a spring fully compressed there. So I'm going to back that off a little bit. Yep, still compressing all the way. So I was having a hard time getting that fully into the notch. So that went in, but the problem is I want the springs to work for me, which means I want the turnout to be able to be popped. I'm driving a locomotive through it, possibly. And it's not going to happen yet. So let's take that off a little bit. I guess I want just enough to close it tight, which still can give it a little bit more. Okay. Just get that in. So there we go. Turn out it's closed, but if a locomotive came through it, it would shove over and bounce back. So if I was coming out of the engine house, I wanted to leave it set to the main. Back out of the engine house, theoretically the wheel will push that over enough to glide through and then snap the switch back so I don't actually have to physically get out and throw the switch. Now let's check the other way. So go the other way, locked in tight. Now we're lined for the engine house. I don't really think I need that feature going the other way. However, the spring was compressed almost all the way, so I'm going to give it a little less tension there. Okay. So there, that's set for the diverging route through, which is the main towards the driveway, and then pull it over here, and we're set for the engine house, the straight route through the switch. So I'll have to fill in, the ballast and tamp it. But otherwise, this switch is operational. So you can just grab it with your fingers, like that, and do it. But it looks like I'm going to have to use the extreme sides, or change the springs, use bigger springs. If I use longer springs, which might be a consideration. The one thing that when I designed this, that I'm a little, version 2 is going to be a little different, and that's the bar here that drops in. There's no real guide to it, so it can't fall out where it would let the thing go. What the hell is that? But it does wiggle quite a bit, and I'm worried that it could maybe get damaged or something. It's 1/4 inch steel. I don't think it's gonna, maybe it'll bend, I'm not sure. Some kind of, maybe it's just this trees, some kind of creature. Anyway, version 2, this piece here will be like notched, well, not notched, but it'll be like have a step in it to keep this, so it'll act as a guide as it goes along. And I may actually come back and make like a 3D printed something like guide in there, which might even be a better thing, because it would be plastic as opposed to having steel rubbing along the side of your paint. And again, I'll probably maybe block this somehow. Weld in a little tiny piece of steel and then touch up the paint. I'm not sure. Just so somebody doesn't put in that position and we think we're good. Now that, I'm going to be probably running the locomotive most of the time, maybe my grandkids when they get a little older. So that's the switch stand. And again, if anybody's interested in these, I don't know yet how well it's going to work. You can see it works. It throws the switch. It looks like pretty good. I like how the appearance of it. I am going to make these available on, I had all the parts cut from Send Cut Send, and it's an online kind of laser cutting, steel laser cutting and machine shop service. And I'm going to have the files, so I think I can set them up so they're publicly accessible. So you can just go on there and like type in my link, and you'll be able to order the same exact parts that I spec'd here. And so if you're interested, and then I'll have to somewhere put in like whatever all the extra hardware here is. You know, actually I haven't even tightened this up, the nuts on this thing, so I have to make sure. I just cobbled it together to paint it, and I didn't want it to get stuck, so I'll have to tighten them up. So that's part of why it was a little flimsy. So you can order these if you'd like, and I'm not gonna probably, you know, like you can actually sell them like on Shapeways, that 3D printing service that a lot of model railroaders would, you know, put down that they want to make $100 on a little, you know, oil can or something like that. And then the Shapeways would add that into whatever they wanted to make off it. It'll be just a pass-through cost. I'm not looking to make money on these things. So if you're interested and you want to try making one, you need some basic welding skills, not much, because I don't have much. And then you just need to buy the parts. I got all the extra parts on McMaster car. And you know, you can build one of these. I think they look pretty cool. And you know, becoming an old geezer, I don't have to stand, you know, bend over and throw something here. I can just do it, you know, like a gentleman standing up here. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. It'll probably be a lot on the locomotive next time. I've been meaning to get to that, and that'll be the next episode. So thank you. Take care.